Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Evan, and today I'm out in the desert riding the Kove FSE 450 Rally. This is a rally bike made by Kove, which is a manufacturer out of China. This comes with a 450cc liquid-cooled dual overhead cam engine. It's derived off a motocross bike. The suspension is full motocross style suspension, offering 12 inches of suspension travel. The seat height is 38 inches. It's got a 21-inch front wheel, an 18-inch rear wheel. It's got three separate little gas fillers. We've got one in the back, two in the front. They all funnel into the same system. It's fuel injected. It's got this cool rally tower with a TFT display, and it's electric start. Throw the helmet on and go ride it and talk more about the bike. Stay tuned.
All right, I'm going to turn off front and rear ABS. I don't know if you guys can see that. But right here you can go down to close all, which turns off both front and rear ABS. It's a pretty trick, just being able to hit one button and turn both of them off. So, all right, let's get moving.
All right, so something I didn't mention in the intro, FSE 450 Rally comes at a price point of $8,999. Basically right there, $9 grand for this bike as you see it. So let's get after it. Another thing too that is nice, it has a little gear indicator. So right now I'm in third gear. And this sand's pretty deep. We got these fresh bowls, we got some wind. So right off the bat you'll realize the power on this thing is a little bit higher up in the RPM ranges. It likes to be revved out and kind of just, you know, let the thing eat. There we got the shift. It likes to just stay cracked and just let the tire just move all that sand out of the way. Right now we're in fourth gear. And you can feel it has a little, it doesn't bog on bottom, but it does, doesn't produce its best horsepower until you kind of get more into the mid-range. It redlines up there near 12,000 RPMs, and it seems to really like just being ridden between 8 and 12. So now we're in second. Pretty sweet. So they claim this bike weighs 320 pounds without fuel, and obviously this bike has fuel in it now, but you know, the weight is very low on this bike, so it carries itself really well when you're you know, trying to get aggressive. It does not feel like this big motorcycle, which it really isn't. So it feels like a dirt bike. And when you're standing up, the rally tower never gets in my vision or feels in my way. When you're sitting down, I mean, maybe a little, but nothing that bothers me. I mean, you can see, you kind of notice it, but the tires, the stock tires on it currently are these CST, I believe they're called. I'll find out for sure, but it's also a Chinese tire manufacturer. See, 4th gear, drop it down to 3rd. But they, you know, for a knobby tire out here, this thing really moves some sand. 5th gear. Nice. So you can see the thing bogged a little. I just had to roll out in 3rd gear, and so it bogged a little bit. But if you kind of come into a corner and crack the throttle pretty decent to where it won't bog, if the RPMs pick up, and then it just drives and slides really nicely out of corners. That's the thing out here in the sand on this bike. It slides so predictably. You just kind of get it to initiate that slide with just kind of pressing the foot peg into the ground, and then you just keep the throttle twisted, and it feels pretty effortless. The one place I haven't spent much time on it yet is in hard pack sections, which we're hoping to find some well, here later today. But it's, man, it just slides so nicely. Another thing I'll mention is that the colorway, the livery that you guys saw in the intro is not like the stock livery that will be on the bike new from the manufacturer. This is a sort of Dakar inspired livery for this bike. The brakes are real nice, and the suspension, let's see if I can find some jumps. But look at it, just the weight's so low on it that although it might seem heavy on paper, or if you're, you know, picking it up off the ground or something like that, but when you're actually riding, it just has such good, oh, stalled it. It just carries its weight so well. I haven't had to make any clicker adjustments or anything like that. Maybe when we get into the hard stuff I might. Whoa. But the power, it's got a throttle cable, so it's not a throttle by wire system. But the power it's so nice out here, because it's not that it's, you know, it doesn't have anything on bottom, but it prefers to be revved out. And it makes it real nice in this sand stuff for kind of sliding corners and just steering with the rear. It really rewards just letting it eat all the time. That's one thing I will say is this. It feels very well refined, other than maybe the gearbox. At times, I find it to you know, be kind of hard to shift, or does something like that. It kind of finds it can get stuck in between gears when you're keeping it cracked and trying to grab that next gear. It's a little hard to see out midday in the dunes to see what the dunes are doing. Been caught out a couple of times. Feel a little blind. Something like that cuts you out. Woo! That's the only thing. This one is kind of starting to act up. It's been ridden a little hard today. That's I've been struggling with that a little bit when I go to switch from second to third on the gas. Yeah, the bike just feels really stable when you just kind of set your line and just let the thing eat and steer with the rear a little. Just kind of carve up whatever's in front of you. Obviously that's in the sand, but the thing is nimble too, man. It's hard to see this sand. So right now I'm having trouble with third gear. It's wanting to slip out of third gear, but if you stay in, let's see, second gear right here, you know, you could just motocross style. So you can see it really wants to be revved out. At times it falls on its face a little bit. For instance, in fourth gear right now, I'm trying to hit some of these sections. Third gear was working pretty good, but it's struggling to stay. Struggling to stay in third gear. The suspension feels really nice and plush. Obviously we've been mostly riding sand today, so I don't have too many riding impressions on some rougher hard pack stuff. In the sand it just really feels super easy to ride. Choose your line and then just, you know, steer with the throttle. The bike really likes to have motocross style inputs. It likes being leaned over, has really nice surface areas to grip with your legs. I feel really in the bike. The handlebars have a nice upward sweep, so when you're standing up and railing corners, it feels very, very good and aggressive, and you feel like you have good leverage on the bike. It has some really nice oversized foot pegs that also the oversized foot pegs feel really good. You can get real close up to the frame, as well as, you know, getting out on the outside of the peg for a little more leverage when you're trying to cut in your arc when sliding through some of the sand. The seat's nice and flat and comfortable for sitting down in the saddle. You feel kind of in the bike, which is something I like. The display has a gear indicator, which is always nice. The engine has a nice raspy sound to it. definitely get the race experience on this bike, being a sort of Dakar replica, where their pro model is something a lot. It's based off the same chassis. There's just a few upgrades, some suspension coatings, a carbon fiber rally tower, a titanium exhaust, a couple other trick bits. But other than that, it's going to be the same engine, the same frame, a lot of the same components. And I mean, it definitely has proven its pedigree in Dakar this past 2023 Dakar, having 3 out of 3 bikes finished. So I think, you know, it's hard to knock the reliability there. Obviously, those bikes are a little more factory and have some maybe different things internally. But I mean, this thing feels, it doesn't feel like a knockoff in any way. This thing feels very, very legit, and it's you know, it's a true player if you're looking for a motorcycle like this. Obviously, they're currently not street legal. They're still going through. This one's technically, as of now, a closed course model, because they're still trying to get get it signed off from all the emission boards to be a 50 state street legal motorcycle. We'll see what happens in the future with the street legal one. But as of now, this bike I'm on feels really good for carving up the desert landscape. And this isn't a sand tire on here, so you know, this thing definitely is having to work a little bit, but whoa, got a little wiggly right there. That's one thing the Pro or Factory Edition has, is a steering stabilizer to kind of help alleviate some of those wiggles at speed. I'm hoping to get this thing into some tighter, rockier, you know, less wide open terrain, to where I can really shake down the suspension on some, you know, rocky bumps and see how it handles its weight at slow speeds and in a little bit more technical riding. But today, in this fast, wide open dune and desert stuff, you know, the few things that I can take away are, you know, the engine puts power down. It likes to be revved out. It doesn't have a whole lot of bottom, but you know, if you just keep it cracked, it really starts to put the power down, and it feels very broppy. You know, it feels very, has a nice hit once you get into where the sweet spot of the power band. And then the chassis and just suspension, the suspension is real nice. It has it has initial comfort, but then, as I was doing earlier, not on video but for photos, we had some jumps we were hitting, and you know, they were flat ground landing jumps, and the thing held up. I mean, I only weigh 125 pounds, but I was jumping it to flat, and I didn't bottom the bike or anything like that, and it just feels really stable. It has good handling. It feels light on its feet. You know, I'm just steering with the rear, and it just feels like anything you kind of, any input you put on into the bike, it receives it really well, and it just kind of almost knows exactly what you're trying to do. This thing's a serious contender if you want something that not only, that's kind of that, it kind of has this new space. It's not really a dual sport in a traditional sense of something like a KTM 500 or even a DRZ 400 or maybe a Honda XR 650. It's not really that, and it's not an adventure bike. It kind of is the crossbreed between both of them. You have some nice adventure bike qualities, but what feels like a dirt bike platform. So when it comes to, you know, getting aggressive and trying to, you know, do some of your best riding, then you have those dirt bike features to do that. And then if you're, oh man, that's the only thing, that third gear. This thing's been raining kind of hard today, so I wonder if that has something to do with it. But as I was saying, it has a good qualities of a dirt bike and then some good qualities of an adventure bike, and it ties them together in a really nice package. And so yeah, I look forward to spending more time on this thing and seeing what the final production model looks like once it becomes available to the consumer, hopefully later this year. So that's going to conclude this onboard review. And of course, look for the link in the description with the full article, where I'll go more in depth as I get home and really am able to review this GoPro footage, but also just go through my notes and, kind of let it all sink in. So look for the in-depth review. The link will be in the description. Of course, thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. That would mean a lot. And if you want to continue to see content like this, go ahead and subscribe, and let me know in the comments down below what you think. And thanks for tuning in.